And let's get weird. Okay. So, there's probably a small apology that has to go into the last video that we're going to post.
No, we're
the
not
previous
posting it.
video that we posted.
It's
We're not apologizing. We're apologizing for the way that this podcast and this episode between Joe Rogan and Alex Jones had started us off on such a rough foot. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have touched on any of those probably points of interest and conversations. And again, I'm still hoping to do an entire 1-part, 2-part, 3-part, 4-part episode with my buddy and try to sort out some of these very popular topic of child trafficking and sex crimes and QAnon and other.
It's not popular. It's misguided.
Yes, there are some very mentally ill people out there. But I feel that having a professional, somebody who does this on a daily basis, it's his job.
Does what?
Right. It's his job to investigate these sick
clarify.
individuals that actually...
Somebody who's QAnon on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, he's not QAnon on a daily basis. And I don't even think he's like on a message board of some kind, but he definitely... it's part of his job to investigate crimes of that nature. And child crimes. I don't know if he gets much into trafficking just because it's a local position in his department. But I'm sure some of that probably gets brought up and translated. I'm sure it's not just local to his area.
For sure.
That some of these victims are probably
Big fucking rabbit hole.
Yes, it is a very giant and also very convoluted historical rabbit hole. Like you and I just started watching a documentary tonight, which was on, what was that, Stars? We weren't on HBO or Prime, I think. I think it was Stars, about Colby.
It's on Roku.
Some Roku channel, but on Colby, and I'd have to pull up his first name. Right, meow? Huh?
William.
You think it's William Colby?
It is.
Bill Colby?
Same thing.
I don't know, dude. Really? You remember that?
Yes.
I don't. I think you're wrong, to be honest with you.
Well,
Colby.
when I'm right.
Colby CIA. Colby CIA death. The Man Nobody Knew, which is a 2011 film, so it's been out for a while. You are right, William Egan Colby. Look at that. I think you get a charcuterie. You get a craft.
I made it, so of course I get it.
Yes, you get part of the Rice Krispie treats you cooked earlier without chocolate chips, because that was not part of the plan.
Who has Rice Krispie treats with the chocolate chips?
Literally screwed me out of chocolate chips earlier, which is not fair or nice.
I'm sorry. If you would have made them,
yeah,
you would have done it.
If you want to talk about child crimes, that's a crime against me as a child. Not giving me.
Anyways, moving on.
No, we need to hash this out, dude. You owe me. You literally owe me chocolate chip Rice Krispie treats, which is not a 4-part word combination that's easy to say. Go ahead. What was it? How do you say it?
Chocolate chip Rice Krispie cheese.
Sorry. Exact. Officer.
Oh,
Officer, I'm fine. Yes. So the Man Nobody Knew. In search of my father. Why would you interrupt me in the middle of reading a title? Nelly? We've talked about the title of the documentary is The Man Nobody Knew, In Search of My Father, CIA Spy Master, William Colby. But that was part of, in our part episode 2, in the only part of the latest Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, Tim Dillon shit show, their last episode was bringing that up, and that this guy, which we haven't finished the documentary, so it's going to be interesting to see how this ends, because this guy was involved in a lot of stuff, and the idea.
Shit, not a lot of stuff.
What did Son say? My father was really good at making war. That is a tombstone.
I didn't catch that.
No, remember that was in the beginning. You even said like, "Oh my god, that's kind of like shocking." Right? My father was really good at making war. Right? He was there for World War, part of World War II.
Well,
Eventually
he was
gets
in, like all the important.
he really hit the he's Barb's trainer. Probably.
Dude.
Barb also for me, if you guys we haven't gone into this, we haven't done an episode on this, but the old lady, Aunt Tifa, who was walking around the Capitol building with an American flag, her mask around her chin.
Capri Suns.
We don't we don't have evidence of the Capri Suns. The Capri Suns and goldfishes is a part of the theory, which is the last.
If that dies in urban myth, that's amazing.
So it's not an urban myth so we believe fully that woman Barb is a time traveler who has been a part of the major events in history and assassinations throughout world history. She was there for JFK, MLK, the moon landing. We believe that she was behind the ladder in the moon landing. Eddie Bravo would have a fucking field day with that. Yeah, she told Neil. I totally blanked on it. She told Neil what to say, which is like, you take one small step. And he's like, I take one. So she was there for Jesus' execution.
We also saw her in the documentary of Bill Colby.
She was there during Roswell. So. Like she was also in the documentary with Bill Colby. If you've seen the Capitol building, at least the photos that have come out, I don't think there's video of her.
No. Which is interesting.
We never have been able to catch video of Barb. I think like JFK, one of the most kind of like infamous mysteries of the JFK assassination is the babushka. And the babushka? No, the babarshka, yeah. That's what it's really called. That's what the file name. That's why we haven't been able to find the file, because the file name is babarshka. No, but there is the babushka lady, which is an older female, Barb, who was wearing a babushka of sorts and had taken a series of photos or videos as JFK was shot. But the Zapruder film is on the side.
Who?
Zapruder? Are you serious? Like, is my pronunciation Zapruder?
I don't know what that is.
So, probably his name's William Zapruder. Probably. I don't remember his first name. His last name was Zapruder.
John.
He was the only person to film the JFK assassination as the rounds struck Kennedy. And then there's the missing frame, which is behind. No, not behind Barb. Barb's actually on the other side. If we're gonna go with this theory, I don't know if any of this is useful, if usable right now, but
it's entertaining.
And we've like literally only had like 2 glasses of wine and some Rice Krispie treats and charcuterie. Charcuterie. It's real shark. 2021's off to a bash. We're having shark tonight.
Ooh, wait.
Fuck, man. Are we rich? Did you get your check? I didn't get my check. No?
I don't get any checks.
Yeah. Seriously. Nelly, for fuck's sake, man. You're facing the other direction. You're literally facing the wall right now and you sound like this.
Tired.
How does he sleep through this?
#pug life.
This is pug life. This is the best thing ever. If you guys aren't a part of this, you guys are missing out on your entire things. So anyways, this is the Zapruder film. So the Zapruder film is the only fucking 8mm we have of JFK getting shot on film. But the babushka lady is supposedly a lady that's on the other side of the car. So
twin?
What?
Does Barb have a twin?
No, Barb is a single entity who's existed throughout time, and I feel like she's one of those people in the sci-fi films, like she's the eraser, like she was there.
Men in Black?
Yeah. Like people are like, oh, sorry, not people. Christians and Catholics are like, a serpent gave Eve an apple, which is not true. They gave her the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. If you never read the fucking first pages, Jesus Christ, which is going to lead us into freedom of rights. I can't. I
Rights
just
of speech.
no. Well, it's
You sound like Tigger.
I am right now. Trust me. So Dan would be so proud.
Yeah, he would.
It's our buddy. He constantly plays a Tigger character in our life. But let me stay on one goddamn topic at a time, lady.
Figure it out.
Okay? So the babushka lady, okay, is on the opposite side. Zapruder's filming as JFK is coming by, and over his shoulder is supposedly like the grassy knoll situation, right? But he keeps filming, okay? And he didn't put it out right away. He didn't like run to the meeting. He's like, I got film of JFK's
Demise.
multiple wounds, multiple times being shot from the front and back, right? We heard 3 shots, but there's 4 rounds fired, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get it. Exactly. So there's a woman with the babushka on the other side of the grass as he's passing. So Zapruder is technically on the right side of him filming, and she would be on the left side of the car in the middle of the lawn area. And they have never been able to find her, which cracks me up because like so many people, as a side note, just I woke up this morning and watched like 2 Bigfoot documentaries just for have noise in the background.
What do you mean so many people?
Well, because so many people are like, I've seen one.
There are so many.
I've seen a
specific
Bigfoot.
people.
There is a bipedal ape that's, was in the forest. He's in Washington.
It's
He's in
bipedal?
Sierra's bipedal. Bipedal. He's all over. He gets around, right? There can't be one of them.
And
This
he's really fucking fast.
he's logging miles. Like we're all like, oh, 10,000 steps would be cool. This fucking bipedal monster of a Bigfoot
We don't know he's a monster.
for years would just be like, we would never see him because he's walking so fucking fast. Basically, if you cover that much
He's like
distance,
that, like, mom with the-
he's got to have
he's
quads.
walking.
He's got to have quads that would make like a fucking horse shiver, like there's just no way. I mean, with like all that terrain, he's not like walking across a desert. This dude's like climbing Rockies. If the Mormons like rethought their process, they're like, oh, that's Jesus. Oh, right. Mormons are funny. So shout out to Mormons. Yeah, but so there's, I'm going to try it. Yeah, I know it's chaos right now.
Come on.
So we're going to,
So what were we like gonna talk about?
here's what I'm saying though, is we don't have evidence of people like Bigfoot doesn't exist because we don't have evidence, and these motherfucking hillbillies are faking footprints, and it's bullshit, and we don't have hair samples, but we've never found the babushka lady, which we actually have video and photo of, and we've never been able to identify that girl. And
Until Barb.
Right. So Barb is our
The She's the one.
She
is the missing link.
She's so far ahead of us,
So far ahead.
because she's there at these major historical events and she knows exactly what to do.
That's why she waves her little flag.
She's got her little American flag and she's got her sippy cup.
Excited.
She's got her juice for the day, which could have been like, it could be full of like, right. Barb's such a professional right now. It could be full of vodka. She could be sponsored by what is it?
That's her flask.
Hard Rock or what?
It's a Capri Sun flask.
No, it's not.
That's what
She didn't have a Capri Sun. That is a rumor by one of our friends. I hope it's true.
I saw
The
it on
Instagram.
It's true. It is legit. That is how the internet works.
The rumor, because nobody was a part of this, is that Barb has Cheez-Its.
No.
Yes.
Goldfish.
Oh, sorry. She has goldfish and goldfish crackers and cracker and Capri Suns of multiple varieties, strawberry, kiwi, fruit punch, and others. And that's
Where are the others?
That's how she gets you. And the what we've heard, right?
She's not a vampire.
What?
It's not like that's how she gets you.
No, that
That's how she's like, can I come into the Capitol, Sonny? I got a Capri Sun.
right. Yes. I'm sure she has all her teeth.
No.
Because she's infinite.
No, you can see this.
She's infinite. No, she doesn't have a mustache. How dare you?
No, the index.
No, if she did, it's like Fu Manchu. It's like she
Well,
got like the
this.
soft. She got the old lady whiskers on the side. No one can see you. You're just
I'm
making.
telling you.
You're
so you can
you're not
tell
telling me
people.
shit. You're making a weird deformity out of yourself in the corner. And what are you coloring over there? What are you
Yeah,
coloring?
I'm coloring.
What are you coloring?
Disney shit. I don't know.
Is it cool though?
It's fun. Whatever.
All right, man. Y'all gotta live your own life, you know.
YOLO.
I'm coloring the internet with bullshit.
Intra.
But also this fascinating idea that Barb's is an intimate, sorry, not intimate, infinite,
Intimate.
being that literally moves us forwards, left, right, or center. She's like the Queen's Gambit. She is the Queen's Gambit of the life chessboard of our historical events. Like we're like JFK would be a great president, and she's like, I got other ideas. You know, like I don't even think Barb has to consult anybody. You know, I think she's just like,
So
I know what's best for the
you're
world.
thinking like the Academy where there's like people like, no Barb, no, and she's like, fuck it, I'm going rogue.
Yeah. No, but so the rumor is we touched on this a second ago, is that she has goldfish crackers and Capri Suns, and so you're gonna die. This is the rumor, and we don't know how this is proven, but the theory is, the rumor, the speculation, what we've heard is that if you smell cheese and a fruity vapor, if you smell goldfish, cheese, and a fruity vapor of some kind, that's the last thing you ever experience in your life before Barb kills you. That's written in the Bible. That's like Jesus is like, Father, why have you forsaken me? And also, what is this? What is goldfish? Why does my mouth taste of fruit punch? And then Barb's like, spear in the side. Well, I don't think she yelled it. She's like, you know, that's a stabbing sound. And then Barb was dressed in the Roman soldier, and she ran off. And this is the new religion we're living with right now. This is what we decided. And this is going to segue us into a very serious conversation about the amendments and First Amendment, Second Amendment, Second Bill of Rights. Yeah. What was the bill?
Freedom of speech.
No, Schoolhouse Rock. Little Bill trying to sit on the Capitol steps. Like Bill, God damn it, dude. The little Bill, and I don't even know what he wanted. He might have been like free birth control, right? In Schoolhouse Rock. That Bill, he's trying to climb the Capitol steps, and they kicked him out. And he's like, I got vetoed. So I'm fucking pissed about this. I just realized this when I was a child, that a cartoon character Bill couldn't get into the Capitol.
But Hillbilly Bill.
But fucking y'all Kada got up in there.
Hillbilly.
Super easy, which is not cool. But this is we had a point of conversation for tonight, at least to have fun, which is it blows. I actually want to do the FBI thing first, which, I mean, automatically saying that we're gonna get flagged.
Do you, boo?
It still blows my mind, and even though we kind of like chatted about this outside, it blows my mind that the FBI in particular had posted pictures from a variety of sources: CCTV cameras, cell phone videos, actual press photos and shots and stills, and of multiple individuals that were inside the Capitol during the siege.
Sorry.
Just not something you do during a recorded podcast. Can I turn the camera towards you as you try to like yuck up the snot in your...
Sorry, I have allergies.
All right.
So the siege.
Yeah, so back to the siege, guys. It blows my mind that the FBI, amongst all people, released. Fuck, what, 200 pictures? They've arrested 100 people so far. It's January 10th, 1 a.m. And they've arrested 100 people so far, roughly. Nelly.
She's not gonna stop.
And you know what's funny is the dude who carried the podium out. I thought it was hilarious that when in his jail photo, his arrest photo, like he shaved. Yeah, like I don't know if that was his idea of like, they won't find me, or he's like, I better clean up. You know, like,
good for this shit.
yeah, like his wife's like, You look like a hobo, you know? Because I thought that dude would have been out of Seattle, but he's out of Florida. He was overdressed for weather. Nobody in Florida has a beanie like that and jackets. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just
like Trump paraphernalia.
That's it. You call it paraphernalia?
Apparel.
There you go. It's Trump. It is Trump apparel. Yeah. I think the one video, I think I sent it to you. See, was that where the dude was selling Trump merchandise, and he's like, he lost. Everything must go. And the girl's like, oh, he lost. Oh, he lost. Okay. Oh, right. Okay, he lost.
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, yeah. She wouldn't buy anything. He's like, well, it's half off. You know. It's all a shit show, and we're just living in it. It's so funny that it went from like Shakespeare, like the world's a stage, right? But it's like that's poetic. So like it's all a shit show, and we're just all trying to be influencers, you know? Like you and I right now, like we ideally like we would get paid for this video. We're not, but it's fine. We're at least I hope we're entertaining somebody or educating, which would be fun. We're educating something. It's like I didn't know that, you know? Well, I don't know why they have a southern accent. I didn't know that. It's like more of you can't win in this. I didn't know that. Yeah, because I mean I feel like Brits don't know it. I think like either British people they know shit or they don't know shit. You know, like either British people are like what?
You can say that about anyone. I feel like Christopher's.
I don't feel like Jamaicans would be on that. I don't feel like Jamaicans would be like, because Jamaicans are mostly like yeah man, like it's always yes.
They know everything.
Yeah, exactly. They're way ahead of schedule, right?
All right.
Before this gets weirdly racist. Which I think both you and I are Jamaican at some point.
No.
1%?
No.
2%?
No.
I know I'm more black than you. Which no one, I know like everybody, if you're still watching this video, you looked at me and you're like, motherfucker ain't black. I am, actually. I'm literally Saharan. 23andMe put the funk back in my life, to be honest with you. And we thought you were black. Because you supposedly had a Cuban lineage.
Well, my dad was born.
None of this is true.
Listen.
Hearsay. I know.
My dad was born in Cuba. His dad...
If he was born in Hawaii, it doesn't make him Hawaiian.
Well, his dad and his mom were both born in Cuba.
Doesn't make them Cuban.
Yes.
It means they were born in Cuba. Doesn't...
No. Like, if you take that, anyone born in America is given an American passport. They are American citizens.
The Republicans would argue with you so much.
They're an American citizen.
They are not an American citizen. They're not
That's not true. Noemi's...
Don't name names, bro.
I know, I thought about that.
Yeah, you wouldn't let me talk about a girl pooping.
Someone I know's niece...
No names.
No names.
No names.
Is from Argentina.
Sure.
Born
So
there.
from Argentina. She's Argentinian.
Born there.
Born there.
Lives in the States.
Okay.
Has a visa.
Right.
Her daughter
Uh-huh.
was born in California.
Yes, that's part of the anchor baby shit that everybody's so mostly white people are upset
In
about.
Argentina, when they went back this past month,
She's not Argentinian.
they wouldn't let her in.
The baby?
Only the baby. Literally.
They
because
literally wouldn't
she's
let the
not
baby in?
From the country. So they paid them $70 to let the baby in.
Smart move on Argentina's part.
Right? Give her the money.
They weren't born there. That'd be cool if like America did that. Were you born here? No, $70. Like it's like a Disney fee, right? Like do you want a park hopper pass? Do you want to go?
You want to go to California Adventures and...
Do you want California Adventures and Argentinian Adventures? That makes sense. I agree with that. Just because you were hatched on a piece of land.
But she has an American passport.
Which is so funny from...
Baby.
I understand. Which is so funny from like
the picture's like this.
You didn't see that. It was like a weird... it was like a weird...
She took a picture of it on the bed.
This baby is... From the face she made, this baby is ugly AF, and I would charge her $70 to be anywhere. And I don't care. You can have ugly babies. It's fine. It's not fine. We should get rid of them. Like cosmetic surgery. Like we should fix it.
Like ugly
we should put filters on them until they realize what they should do.
Them.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's funny from like the native perspective, which I am. Is that like, you know, like Americans are like, I was born here, and it's like, what's your heritage? And like Irish and Scottish, and it's like, okay, so you didn't claim anything American. You claimed that you were hatched here on this land, but your lineage is like fucking Viking and Scotland. Like no one claims I'm thorough blood American. No, you're fucking Creole if you're down south. You're this odd mix of French, which they never. It's so funny. Like it's like New Orleans, right? Like they have like a massive district of the French Quarter, right? Which they all like. That's the, you know, that's one of the party hubs and centrals and most appealing parts of New Orleans.
French fuck shit up.
Secretly though. Like secretly, they're like, oh yeah, we'll let the Germans in, but also we'll kill you. So yeah, they played the long game, right? Like, so it's like, it's funny because it's like, there's, you know, we would have the fucking Statue of Liberty without France.
Sure.
Right? Like we watched the whatever the fuck that
movie. I think eventually we would have gotten it. But
no, we would not have developed our own statue. Like we literally got that was given to us by France. That's not an American symbol. It's literally a French trophy, and that's one of the best like French. It's like that's such a French Roman, Trojan horse, right? Like France is like, oh, you guys are a new country. Here, let us erect a statue for you, and you don't know what's in it. Yeah, it might be an antenna that you don't know about. We might be like secretly listening in on you the entire time. But so many people go around the Statue of Liberty and they're like, because you fucking talk over me. We've talked about this. We've literally had friends interject that you constantly, consistently interrupt me. When we snore at night together, you snore over me. That's how much interrupting's done. If I burp, you fart. And that's like...
All right,
this tit for tat thing. That's a joke. None of us actually expel gas. Except the pugs. That's different. But I am happy that supposedly, you know, pugs are way fartier and burpier than they lead on to be. But ours aren't. They rarely toot. Oh, you're like in a ball of upsetness right now. Like, what's wrong? What's wrong, sweetie?
I don't want to talk over you.
Okay, well, you are a taco over me. Get it? On the mic, that sounded great. I hope it stays that way. Because this goddamn program keeps changing. We're 30 minutes in. The point that I'm trying to make on all this shit is a long time ago that the FBI is requesting that we find these individuals that they post their pictures of. But if you listen to Snowden or a lot of the Joe Rogan podcasts or people talking about secret military projects, or Instagram has facial recognition technology, that Facebook is tracking all of your shit. We know exactly where you are. GPS, where Pandora, Spotify, Chelsea, what's her name? Zena, what's Amazon? What's fucking Alexa? They're all listening to us. The webcams, while your webcam's on, Zoom's watching you. All this shit. There's all, like, if you listen to these dudes on the outside, you're just like Snowden down, like there's military operations. These people live under underground bases in Hawaii, and they're constantly just rummaging through your shit. Patriot Act, that basically anything with technology is watching you. It's monitoring you. They can watch you live. They can turn on your webcam. They can turn on your Alexa. They can turn on your speakers. They can do all that shit. And then all of a sudden there was this huge raid on the Capitol building. And within 48 hours or less, the FBI is like, we need your help. And I'm like, I thought you were watching us all the time. I thought you would have been able to track every single individual. These people took planes, they took buses, they have PPP loans. These motherfuckers got PPP loans.
But here's
right?
the thing, like we were talking about outside, like I really feel like this is a pandering to white fragility.
You have a hard-on for white privilege, white fragility.
Dude.
But this is a different subject.
But it's not. Like they didn't do that for the Black Lives Matter riots. They didn't do that.
The FBI asking for help?
Yeah.
Yes, but
so
you and I.
How come now, in this moment, when Hillbilly is out there,
Y'all, Kada.
like all of a sudden because they're white or because there's like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you would think that at this moment, the FBI would be like, you know what? Police presence was not what it should have been at the Capitol that day. So we're going to show more force or more authority to be able to be like, we got this, America. Don't fucking worry about it. We got your boys.
But they don't. They were like, we need your help in identifying these white individuals.
It's fucking
I don't think anybody involved, like the 200 pictures they posted, was somebody of color. But here's my thing. They also
like were interviewed by media outlets.
But I mean, like right now we're at 100 arrests, and I understand that the BLM protests and other racially driven police brutality protests throughout 2020. I understand that's we're looking at probably 8 months of that, 7, 8, 10 months, let's say, of that activity. So there's 14,000 arrests or 1,400. What was it? I know it's a 1-4 number. Let's go with the low numbers. 1,400. So 100 arrests right now at the Capitol siege, but 1,400 arrests throughout the entire activity of the BLM. But there weren't But
how many are legitimate?
Well, that's a different. Yeah. So there's the problem is there's multifaceted. This is this. So this topic of not just like systemic racism and racism. I'm gonna try to make a very cool analogy here that I feel like a lot of people are gonna miss out on. Is that it basically looks like the coronavirus. It's this ball, right? But it has these prongs that stick out of it, and what latches onto those prongs at any time make it weird. So, you have this entire, I know people, for example, for a lot of people are posting a picture that's trying to create an analogy situation of here's a BLM marching on the Capitol, National Guard defense, right? And then here's video or pictures of Capitol Police letting protesters in, right? Just opening the doors.
Versus presence.
No, but the difference is that the picture that's predominantly being shown is of the Lincoln Memorial and not the Capitol building. It's actually quite a few blocks away. And the Capitol building has its own situation going on.
There's not going to be an apples for apples because...
I understand that, but people are taking a picture of the National Guard standing at the Lincoln Memorial, which I've said to a couple friends that I think is so weird that Lincoln in this memorial, right? Like what we consider in American history to be the freer of slaves and blacks and Africans and African Americans, that for some reason the government thought that BLM and or like activity was going to go tear that down. Like some group of Black Lives Matter was going to go to the Lincoln Memorial and be like, burn the bitch down, which would be so antithesis of...
That's the point.
No, it's not the point. The point that I'm trying to make is that's not the same building. So I honestly don't know why. I'd have to go look this shit up. I don't know why that was the amount of protection around the Lincoln Memorial. And I don't know why they were. And so a lot of this stuff's coming out right now. There are investigations. There's multiple investigations by multiple parties as to what happened at the Capitol. And I have a great article that I'm going to post that has to deal with just only interviews from African-American officers that were at the Capitol building. And they had heard, like, they have gas masks. This is what they said. We have gas masks, but we didn't bring them that day. We were told by our superiors that it was going to be a normal march. But one of the dudes, like early on in the article, goes, my friend showed me an Instagram post of like Proud Boys or some shit. And they're like, we're going to the Capitol and we're going to fuck shit up. And he's like, I'm at work and they're walking down the street technically on the way to the Capitol building. And my buddy shows me this Instagram post and I'm like, oh fuck, this isn't going to be a normal day. And so, but their superiors.
Not an excuse at the Capitol building.
Huh?
That's not an excuse at the Capitol.
No, there isn't a justifiable excuse of what happened.
But the point,
unless it's an inside job.
The BLM stuff is like, you don't have to look at the pictures of the Lincoln Memorial versus the Capitol building. You just need to take a look at the statistics on the level of violence. That's it. That's all you have to look at to be like, this is a different scenario. They handled it completely differently than they've handled any sort of riot that is race oriented.
Well, you gotta
all point blank. Period.
I understand. I have to give credit though that there were, at least there are right now, quite a few shots and videos of black African American officers at the Capitol building being besieged by white people. So the one fucking chick, whatever. Abital or whatever last name is, shot by a black African American officer inside, right? And I mean, Jesus Christ, can you imagine that guy's fear that you are surrounded by this, essentially this party of hate, right? And at least on probably on the radio level, you're hearing that, oh, they've gotten in on this place. Oh, they're using pepper spray. Oh, I'm getting beat up. Dude's getting bludgeoned by a fire extinguisher. I don't know what the time frames of all this stuff are, but that dude is standing there. That shit is literally barricaded, and that woman's coming through the window. She's the first one. It was great, honestly. Like to give him credit. It's one shot. He fires one shot right into her neck, which is covered. It's also covered by the Trump flag, which he decided to wear as a cape.
They also told her, stop.
But, okay, yeah, you're right. Stop or I'm going to shoot. But he fires one round. He could have, unloaded a clip. He could have done so much more. And he's on leave right now.
Yeah.
And investigation. Yeah. And it's amazing to see all these other videos of black African American officers basically, with everything that's gone on in the past year, show so much restraint to not even draw their weapon. I don't know what was being told. I don't know what was being informed. There's a lot of shit in the background that we are not aware of as of right now.
But you're forgetting. Sorry.
I'm not forgetting anything. The thing is that you
I'm letting you finish.
That dude in the hallway with his baton 10 feet behind him because he threw it,
he
right?
Was scared.
He didn't pull his gun though.
He was scared.
No, he was running for his life from a QAnon, but he never pulled his weapon. You would think that in a normal circumstance with anybody with regular training, I would have pulled a gun on you. And this is like an entire year of so many African American people getting shot unarmed, right? And police were like, well, he didn't listen, or he should have complied, or I thought he had a weapon. This dude's literally facing an entire hallway of white QAnon members and Trump supporters, and he had already thrown his baton away. He wasn't going to pull a taser out, but he only puts his hand on his gun. He never pulls his gun from his holster. You would think in the entire year of everything we've seen on the news on the internet, that dude, out of just pure fear and I'm gonna die in this moment, I gotta take as many people out with me, you figured he would have pulled out his gun and fucking just started firing randomly in the hallway.
No, because he's trained.
I would have.
I feel like at the Capitol, there should have been. Not should have been. I feel like I'm surprised that their training does not or did not teach them to be more aggressive than they were.
So that's a huge thing that's under investigation right now.
Absolutely.
Yes, and
it doesn't make sense to me that LAPD is a lot more violent.
LAPD, I would assume throughout its history, from what I know and from what I know from LAPD officers, have had an entire 60, 70, 80 years of building up to this kind of violence. And
but that's generation after generation.
No, I mean, dude, we have Rampart Division. We have people that planted drugs. We've had people that planted weapons. I mean, Jesus Christ, so much of the OJ trial was OJ presumably being innocent because the police were out to get him. There's a vast majority. There's a great percentage of the OJ trial and evidence, which was that the police were trying to set him up for murder. Which is, I mean, there's what's the scene we watched where the dude's like to Mark Furman, and he's like, oh, you still live in Simi Valley, which is where we are currently right now, which is where the officers were considered not guilty in the Rodney King trial. So that was our courthouse, which we're like 2 blocks from, right? And so what's funny is in, I think it's Ross who's playing Kardashian in the Cuba Gooding Jr. is OJ, whatever that is, the OJ Simpson trial TV series. And he's like, oh, Mark Furman, you still live in Simi Valley? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, okay. Like, I got you, right? You live in a protective police white neighborhood. But I think LA has such a long history of that stuff. What were you gonna say? You're like pissed.
I don't remember anymore.
Oh my god. Okay, well, I'm gonna pause this real quick. We're gonna take a short break. 42 minutes in. Pew, pew, pew. And we're back. We're back. Okay, you're so loud. And Mama's here. This is Big Mama. This is Nellie. If nobody's met her on the internet. Hold on. Show the camera. This is what you look like. I know. This is so. If you guys are ever listening to this, to the 3 listeners who are on this podcast, which aren't even like any of our friends, which is so weird. This is what you hear in the background. This is the motor. This is the air conditioning. This is the whole shebang. Yep. The other one's kind of quiet because he's typically up to bullshit. He's currently trying to get in my trash can right now. Dude, he doesn't think I noticed. No, you dumb bastard. Shh. Anyways, we love these fur balls, and we both know that if Leslie ever got in my way, I would she has to go before they go, and if I ever get in her way, I have to go before they go. So these. What do you want? What do you want? These are our number ones. We know that if the house is on fire, they have to get out first.
They win before we win.
Right, and then I'll wake you up somewhere. Is that how you got that off? I literally tried to eat that. I tried. Anyways, all right. So what were we talking about? I made like a 15-minute joke on how advanced our security systems are and our facial recognition, all our technology in America. But the FBI is like, we need your help in identifying these white people. And you took it as like, well, the FBI never needed help identifying black people because they arrested them right away, right? And my joke to that was my inappropriate joke to that was that most of the people during the Target riots are so loud. During the Target riots, that's what they're called in Blue Lives Matter circles and other white parlor,
that's
white. They're called the Target riots because they're like the only building that was hit. And the fact that this weekend, like all this shit's going on Wednesday, right? And then yesterday, Kyle Rittenhouse is photographed and videotaped at a bar with his mom with a free Kyle and like fuck it, I'm free shirt. Like just I mean like the kid like I don't know who's his lawyer. I think his lawyer actually abandoned the situation, but like somebody should advise him that everything you're doing now up into trial will be brought up in trial, even if they're like, oh, you have to throw that out. The fact that he was at a bar with his mom.
It's okay. He was chaperoned.
Right, like he was protecting the bar, right, from being overrun by other protesters. Jesus Christ, by his mom. So yeah, so my joke with that was that I can't believe the FBI is asking the American people for help with all the quote unquote surveillance that they do.
And I'm offended.
We're all offended. It's just the American way right now. Even if you're
not the American way.
It is. Even if you're offended about being offended. Like if I was like if I said something right now and you're like I'm offended, I'd be like, oh, you're offended? I'm offended. You're offended. You want me to wear a mask? That's offensive. To who? To everybody, right? Like nobody can win right now. There's no winner in this situation, and everyone's a bitch, and it's all fucking the pussification of America and or just civilization in general. I mean, you have women going, there's no toxic masculinity, and it's like, all right, well, you've never been sexually harassed because you're ugly, right? Like I'm a dude.
No, you're being offensive by saying that.
Right, we're all offensive.
No.
No, that's literally the joke I'm trying to make. Is that it's all offensive.
Funny.
What isn't funny?
What you're saying is a joke.
Me getting sexually harassed by men? It is not funny. Has it happened multiple times? Fuck yeah. Yes. Were some of those times while I was pretending to be a woman? No, I wouldn't say pretending. I was seductively dressed up as. These are mostly Halloween parties, by the way. Some of them. Some of them weren't. Some of them were like church.
You did church?
Sundays. Sunday mass is weird, man. You know? But anyway, this is not the rolling vodka or whatever. What it's called?
It is.
No, it's not. It's a straight margarita. But that's one of the funny things. It's funny to see women go like, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity, and as a dude who's been sexually harassed by both men and women, I can assure you there is a toxic masculinity and there is a level of harassment and offense that exists, and an idea that men are allowed. I mean, Jesus Christ, literally, Jesus Christ. This is hundreds of thousands of years old of dominion over women. What is that? Is that a shirt? Oh, it's your bra.
I'm trying to find the right way to...
Yeah, dude.
Oh, she's comfy.
I love her. She fits. She fits in your bra. Who would have thought? That's what she's stacked with. Is full pug.
Well, I think that's ignorance. Like...
What I just said?
No.
Oh, my
no,
God.
like,
I was about to be like, oh, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
A lot of the issues that come up with, like, people fighting for rights is that the people fighting for their rights tend to ignore the fact or lessen the importance of the fact that other people have gone through other things as well. So it tends to turn into like a tit for tat kind of thing. Like, my issue is bigger than your issue.
Like, I'm white and I've never experienced racism.
Right.
Like, yeah. That's what bothers me, and I tried to explain this to a few people this week as we kind of confronted each other on a similar conversation, and they're like, you know, I had a good friend be like, I don't believe in systemic racism. Like, that's not. I'm not going to tell you. I don't name names unlike you do.
I do.
And I was like, what are you fucking talking about? And he's like, it's not real. And I'm like,
it's a he? All right.
He, she.
Narrow
She
it
identifies with whatever pronoun she wants. But I was like, it blows my mind that if you called me, you know, if this individual called me and he's like, hey man, you know, I just wanted to reach out. I'm depressed. And I'm like, about what? And he's like, well, you know, America's kind of like in a recession. We're all in lockdown. You know, I feel very isolated. I feel that my kids can't go to school. I feel that my wife has to work from home. I feel like that the government's kind of impeaching or, impeding on these kind of basic rights that I have, and toilet paper's getting sold out. I'm just kind of like depressed and I'm anxious. And he explains all this shit for maybe like, I don't know, an hour straight. He just like lays it on me, right? And I'm listening as a friend. And then I just turn to him and I'm like, no. And he's like, what do you mean no? And I'm like, no, none of that's true. And he's like, what like my depression's not true? And I'm like, no, it's not true. And he's like, why? And I'm like, because you're not depressed. And like, I feel like that's what's going on with a lot of these bigger issues, is that like any African American right now can be like, I feel that I have suffered from or experienced these moments, at least these moments of oppression. And then everyone else who has never experienced that, it's like, no. And you're like, well, no, like I literally, I feel like this one moment, at least this one moment, this was oppression, right? And then everyone else who's never experienced that's like, no, dude, that's not real. And you're like, well, no, like I was driving, and I got pulled over, but nothing was wrong. And he's like, where's your ID? And I'm like, well, it's in my wallet. And he's like, well, careful how you reach for that. And then the police are like, show me proof that you own this car. And I'm like,
but that's
like,
privilege.
why does like a white person have to prove that they own a vehicle? Like, I don't like, so white people, so some white people hear this, or some non of that particular race hear this, and they're like, well, no, that's never happened. Even though like there's video of it. Like I thought it was very interesting that she's one of the writers on Seth Meyers' show. And she was like this, she did this skit, not a skit, but she did this kind of like moment. I guess like in the comedy world you would have to call it a skit, but it was so real and not funny because it was so real. Call it like this one time. And she's like, so this one time, these people get led into the Capitol building to, involve themselves in an insurrection and an overthrow, an attempt to overthrow the government, and a coup, and they get to be led in with weapons and zip ties, and with the intent of zip tying members of Congress and the Senate and holding them hostage. And she's like, and this one time, I was literally skipping down the street and was detained by the police. And they asked me for my ID and wanted to know where I lived. And that's like not an experience a lot of other, I'm going to say races would have, or people of races would have with police officers.
Anyone who doesn't look white will not have that.
But there are quite a few incidences.
Not enough.
When you say not enough, that sounds like we need to kill more white and Mexican people.
No, I'm saying like the ratio doesn't add up.
Like
the difference between what happens to colored people versus white people is not the same.
And I showed you a video today of a woman who pulled up very good statistics of Canada and how much indigenous, native.
But that's the same thing we're talking about.
No. But here's what hang on a second. Let me make the point first. Is that the rate of homicide for indigenous native American women in Canada was 12 times higher than any other race of females, and underreported. So there's probably more murders that are taking place, right? And so I show you this video. It was kind of news to me because we all think that Canada is the safe place, right?
We watched that documentary not too long ago.
Yes, we watched a documentary on it, but there's also Windbreaker, which is the Jeremy Renner film where he investigates with the Olsen twin, the really good Olsen twin, the one that's like in Avengers and stuff.
Not Mary.
The sexy,
Ashley,
fucking
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. Oh my god. And I've only known.
Tuck it back in.
I'm gonna tuck it back in. Because I hate. Who is it? What's the other two? I've known them my whole life. It's so funny. I
know.
Mary, Kate, and Ashley.
I've known them my whole life. I can't remember their names.
I grew up with the Olsen twins, which is a
fine.
very.
I am so fine about it.
No, there's not a lot of other people that can say that.
Oh my god.
with saying that, it was some of the worst experiences I've ever had. And like to be to be honest with you, how much and no, like maybe a lot of people don't know me who are gonna watch this, but me and the Olsen twins to this day have never gotten along. And there was, I remember,
When's the last day you met them?
one of the last times I ever saw them was literally in Woodland Hills at a bowling alley. I remember this specifically, and I remember seeing them, and I was like, "Oh fuck," because like this has been going on since elementary. Like we were literally kids, like
You are my nemesis.
second, third, fourth grade. The first thing they ever said to me was, "You have to pay to talk to me," which I thought was weird because they were like 4. So somebody had like taught them that line, and we had to play them in soccer. Like it was a co-ed elementary school. We're probably like in second or third or fourth grade type shit. So we're like 10 and under. They're already famous, right? You know, Full House type shit. And that was it. And flash forward in high school, I remember being like, oh, like people were like, oh, the Olsen twins are here. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And then we both end up like on the same bowling lanes. And they were like, they went to the manager and they're like, we need to switch. There's no way we're going to be around that dude. And I like never said anything bad to them. It's just we like always had a bad vibe and never got along. So for Elizabeth, who like no one considered to ever be an Olsen twin, for her to come out,
Not a twin.
right? She's the best one, right? She's better looking. She's more well endowed. She has a way bigger dick than ever.
All right.
Don't cut it. No, she's in the Avengers. We've all seen it, right? She's it's part of her.
I'm saying like wrap it up. I'm not saying.
Oh, I'd wrap it up. Trust me.
Wrap it up.
I'd wrap it around me like an anaconda. I'd be like Ice Cube in the movie. Anacondas, not what's another movie?
Snakes on a plane.
He wasn't on that. That's racist for you to do that. There's one black guy on that fucking. It wasn't Soul Plane, which is different. Which is where like Snoop Dogg's the pilot. Remember Soul Plane? No.
Soul Plane.
We're gonna go watch that right now.
I remember Soul Train.
You're old enough. What is it? Oh, I gotta turn the camera towards this. You're so lucky you can't be on this. What was the song? How'd it go?
Basically.
Okay. All right.
Like legit, that's probably like it.
That was the one Soul Train bass line. Yeah. So Soul Plane was the plane version of that.
Souls on a plane.
Yeah, souls on a... Get these motherfucking souls. If you can't dance,
Souls off the motherfucking
if you
plane.
can't dance, get off this fucking plane, man. I don't know why Dave Chappelle's in this skit, but he was he was never there. Yeah.
Got it.
I feel like randomly we can sneak Dave into so many.
His name is Mr. Chappelle.
Is it really?
You don't know him?
No, it's D Money.
You cannot call him Dave.
We call him DC. If you know him really well,
If you know, you know.
I call him Dave Chappie.
I done Chippy.
I mean, it's a French last name, right? Chappelle.
No, he's not.
Yeah, and for a dude that's like, you know, like so fucking take the power back, I'm surprised he's never changed his name. He's never like, you know, done the Muhammad Ali thing, like converted to, like, good for Dave. He's always like stuck his ground. I'm Dave Chappelle. I'm fucking Dave Chappelle. And people are like, that's the GOAT. And I'm like, he's not the GOAT. Like, he's only been around for like 20 years, by the way. Yeah. Like, I mean, there's like, if I was like, and I'm not a comedian and I'm not funny. And, I know you're not, but I mean, like, I think like probably Richard Pryor would be one of the GOATs for me. Dave Chappelle is amazing. Dave Chappelle is amazing, but there's a lot of talent out there. Jamie Foxx, I think, is also amazing. Jamie Foxx can do it all. He can act, he can sing, he's got comedy, he's got introspective. You could probably sit down with that dude and have amazing conversations with Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx also has snuck his way into so much shit where people are like, oh, no, and then like he's like the Rick James, like, oh, and I was at this party and then Jamie Foxx was there and he's playing piano and there's like just bitches like falling out of their clothes and stuff. Where Dave Chappelle's like, sup, man? Like,
No, but I feel like he's more culturally relative?
Jamie Foxx has always been in the background, and I give credit to this. This is an article I think that came out 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's
nothing to do with what I said.
It does. It's January 10th right now. 10th? 10th?
Still 10th?
They asked Jamie Foxx because he did his new cartoon, Soul. What is it?
I don't fucking know.
Oh, why don't you know that? We should actually go watch it after this. Actually,
Sure.
yeah, man. Jamie Foxx. I'm doing the literal. This is what Jamie on Joe Rogan does. He just looks shit up in the background, but I have to do it in the foreground. Jamie Foxx, IMDb. We'll do this right quick. He just put out a new cartoon, and people were like, "Oh, cool. He did Django Unchained, right? Like an ex-slave."
No, he's talented, but I don't think he's like as culturally relative.
He's an Academy Award winner,
or as culturally forward as Chappelle.
Oh my god, he's filming so much stuff. Oh god, okay, so the goddamn thing's called Soul. And he plays Joe. And people asked him, they're like, man, that's the thing. You've been as a black actor in Hollywood, as a black comedian, a singer, like, you played Ray, Ray Charles, which I think is what he won the Academy Award for. Yep. You've done all this amazing shit, but you've kind of always dodged the bullet of the black actor in Hollywood. No one, and you have a good point right now, is that he's not culturally relative. He's never put himself out there as like, oh, let me be this predominant black voice right now in this particular time and place. Where Dave Chappelle is going to shoot an amazing comedy of 8 minutes and 45 seconds or whatever it is, of George, the time that George Floyd suffocated. Yeah. And he puts out this amazing one piece, and he's just doing these random shows. Like Kevin Hart's on Joe Rogan, and he's like Dave Chappelle's like, he's just freestyling in a park for an hour, and it gets posted on Instagram. He literally, I guess Dave Chappelle literally had like a small trailer, and was just going around and just doing whatever, and he'll show up at a comedy store and do at 1 a.m. and do 3 hours of.
But he's the person. To interrupt, sorry. Dave Chappelle is a person who is doing things for the community and doing things to heal the community versus like a Jamie Foxx or Kevin Hart or whatever, who's not really addressing racial issues or community issues in a way or fashion that makes an impact. I'm doing it in a way that's very commercial, that's very whitewashed.
I would say in the last, and I only laughed at a whitewash. I'm not laughing at your comment. I laughed at.
I don't really care, to be honest.
It's our relationship. It's fun.
I like it so much.
I love you, babe, and I don't care. The thing that I would say is that and I would never make this bridge until now. Like you're causing me to make this connection between which I think is fascinating, between poetry and comedy. Okay, so in some of my master classes, especially with one of my favorite professors, Dr. Hall, she would say that, and this is Carolyn Baskins. How dare you? Fucking shit. I was about to name an amazing female poet, and you have to bring up this fucking random YouTube bitch. God damn. This is what I'm saying. Women ruin their own fucking power and femininity and their claim to...
What is this? This is what I'm saying. You weren't saying any of that.
It's literally about to name Carolyn Frichet, which is an amazing female poet. Amazing. People would want to hear that, and they're like Carol Baskins, and that's going to steal the fucking attention. Was this fucking Tiger King documentary. And to this day, to this day, I want to know in the first 10 seconds of that fucking documentary, where did that fucking snow leopard go? Nelly, right? Her face is like literally buried in carpet right now, which is what I would like to do. But like seriously, the whole documentary started with a guy being like, "Oh, you like snakes? Check out what I got in my car." And he had a fucking snow leopard in Florida.
Yeah, that's true.
And the whole documentary just shifts to like, well, do you know about Tiger King? And you know about Carol Baskin? And I'm gonna kill that bitch.
You know about tigers?
You know about tigers? What was your hit? I'm Pickle. I got a video I gotta post later about this.
No, but that shows me.
It does show you. No, it shows Pickle. That's not you. That's not a representation of the facility you work at. It's enough. Yeah, nobody's gonna recognize you in a unicorn onesie first of all, with sunglasses.
I'm very recognizable.
Yes, them guns you have. Those biceps are you can't hide those.
Ooh, wait.
Like when you stormed the Capitol, that was the FBI picture. Was just your bicep. Yeah.
Somebody bought these biceps.
Yeah. We bring guns to the gun show.
I need to know these biceps.
So what I was trying to say is this, which I think is great of Jamie Foxx, is that he really has avoided these major moments in the last 20 years of like, hey, you're a black guy, what do you think? Which I didn't mean to have that much of like a Texas accent on it, but he has avoided all of this stuff where he's been able to play these characters. I still give the Wayans brothers a lot of credit for being able to literally play whiteface, and like we just ignore it, like because it was kind of funny. It wasn't a great movie. It was kind of funny, and we've never brought it up since. But you know, like Jimmy Fallon, like literally does a character playing blackface, and to this day we're like, he should probably lose his career. You know. Which is a weird cancel culture. But what I'm trying to say is like it's good for Jamie Foxx to dodge that. I understand that Dave is willing to speak about these things, but on the poet level, what I learned in my master's program as far as poetry is you are essentially a recorder of history. You're not technically trying to interject your opinion. You're not technically trying to lay down your background or your thoughts. You're essentially trying to find a way in language to encapsulate these entire moments. And there's and I won't be able to quote this correctly, so I apologize ahead of time. But there was a moment in class where Dr. Hall was trying to explain a particular poet who is standing in line of essentially the trains leaving of a war. Like the war is starting, so you get on the train and you get out of the country, and this is how you flee kind of situation, right? And this poet of the time was a woman. I can see it in my head, but I can't fucking remember her name. Is there. And this lady taps her on the shoulder as they're standing in line of the trains, probably around the World War II era, the beginning of that. And so they're supposed to leave, or it's Czechoslovakian wars or Slovenian wars. But anyways, this kind of scene is set where she's trying to she's on, in line for the train to leave the country to flee the war before it starts. And this woman taps her on the shoulder. And she turns around and she looks at this woman, and the woman says to the poet, "Will you be able to write this?" And she was like, I mean, talk about placing the entire world on me. You know, that I'm also trying to leave this situation. I'm not looking at this back in the day. I'm not living in this as an outsider. I'm also trying to flee this situation of atrocity that's about to be committed. This war, this attempted genocide. We're going to try to erase a people, right? Because they're the enemy. And this woman taps her on the shoulder and was like, will you be able to write this. And I feel like for a lot of the situation right now, a lot of the comedians are kind of in this place of like, I not only need you to talk about this, but I need you to find the humor in it, even if it's dark. And there's moments in the 8:48, you know, with Dave Chappelle or whatever the time frame is of it, 8:46, where it's a joke. There's a part of a joke. There's the beginning of a joke. There's a sentiment of humor. But then he's like, motherfucker. Like he like lays it down to the human level. And I don't feel like he practiced or built that somewhere. I feel like that's in the moment. I feel like a lot of Dave Chappelle, which is why he's so great supposedly, is that it's in the moment. But he could be practicing this shit like, you know, with his kids like all of the goddamn time. That's the funny thing about comedians is like, you know, like Robin Williams, people would be like, oh my God, like he could do serious roles. But when they'd be like, cut, he would just like, he'd have to just let out comedy. He'd have to make fun of shit. He'd have to say something. Right. I got to break it up. And there's that mindset, right? Where you can flip between tragedy and comedy. And that's classic. That's Shakespearean, right? A comedy of errors, a tragic comedy, where you can have a massive drama, right? A king's death. But we're going to put in lines about, you know, civility and roses and what death is.
But I feel like regardless of whether or not like a fountain of humor needs to come out afterwards, I feel like on a human level, Dave Chappelle is able to reach people in a way that maybe Jamie Foxx can't. He can't open himself up enough to connect in that way. And I think it's important that like black members of quote unquote elite society speak up in that way to connect with people, to make sure that it's not like that's how our culture is now. We look up to celebrities and we look to them to kind of point us in a way, in some way.
But I think you accidentally brought up a really interesting point, is that we would look mainly towards Caucasian authority for a semblance of truth. But for African Americans, we look for a moment of realism, but also like a moment of comedy. If we were going to seek out a truth, we're probably not going to seek out a black comedian. But in the African American culture, you definitely probably are, because you don't trust the Caucasian authority.
But and spin it this way. In addition to not looking to them for a moment of truth, we are, as white people, looking to them for a moment of levity. We're looking to them to make light of a situation that they are experiencing by our doing.
Which I think is funny, is that there can like you take an Elon Musk. Like, he's kind of funny. He's made some jokes. Like, right? Like he became the richest man in the world, and he's like, okay, and back to work, and we're going to Mars. We're going to the Mars, right? Like our last video. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, like, because he's Caucasian, you know, like it's one thing. But if an African American in any sense makes a bunch of money, you never consider him a point of authority. You consider him to be the one that made his, like, you look at Kanye. I'm not going to look at Kanye and be like, what do you have to say on the situation? I'm going to look at Kanye and be like, you made a bunch of money making music. We've never looked for you to your opinion. You're kind of fucking crazy. You are bipolar. Like, through and through. And you married this chick, and you've had a weird fucking relationship, and now like it's literally ending with you, and he's with a dude. Is that a trans person?
That's been like debunked.
Is it really? I know she's posting, but she's also in Wyoming, which is where he is. whatever, it's debunked. But like you see how that goes. Like we're not looking at Kanye to be like, and he's been in the White House twice. He literally left a mental institution from UCLA. I've been there. And 48 hours later, he was at Trump Tower, literally meeting with the president. There are not a lot of African Americans who have made that kind of money who can hold that kind of power. You look at Barack and you're like, that's not a comedian, right? He's said some funny shit. He's done a lot of funny shit, actually, right?
Yeah, but also, like, look at the president that Kanye went to go see.
That's not fair. That's not fair. I don't think he would have been allowed to see anybody else, like, in that manner. Yeah. Especially 48 hours after leaving a mental institution, right? So there's a problem with that.
No way.
But, like, Dave's never met with... I don't know if Dave's ever met with a state legislator. I know he said it in one of his last comedy pieces that he had to go up and talk to the community about holding comedy sessions and open mics at his own property,
right? Because
he was being too loud. So he had to go talk to like city, regulators and probably the mayor and shit like that. But Dave, for what you're saying, for Jamie Foxx, who's kind of like quiet in the dark, doing his own thing. But if you sat down with that dude, you would probably learn so fucking much about so many different things. Like I feel like Jamie Foxx is so well-rounded intellectual with so much experience, but he's just quiet. And then Dave Chappelle, his whole thing is like, I want to get out there. I want to do these things. I want to go show up somewhere at a comedy club at 1 a.m.
I feel like he feels an obligation to do those sorts of things.
I don't feel like he does. I feel like it's
an internal obligation.
It might, yes, it might be an innate drive for him to put his voice out there, especially as throughout the years he's got so much better at being able to collect that voice. Like even like Kevin Hart, which like I don't know for the past 20 minutes why we've been harping on black comedians from our perspective. This is kind of like a dangerous level, but Kevin Hart, like I feel like Kevin Hart bounced along so long in his career, and then he found his spot, and then he was growing so much, and then they pulled that Twitter bullshit from fucking 6 years ago, which was a goddamn joke.
And then he cheated on his wife, and then...
Well, okay, you're gonna bring that shit up?
No, like, it's...
That,
it's,
I mean,
no. I'm telling you, it's a cancel culture, and those things play into it.
It wasn't that he cheated on his wife. It wasn't that he cheated on his wife, which, who hasn't? You know what I'm saying? Right? I know, as I'm like petting my dog underneath me. But the fact was that somebody in his circle was willing to blackmail his ass over millions of dollars. And I mean that pun intended. Literally gonna blackmail his ass. And he's on a private plane, filming a documentary, and this shit comes up, and basically everyone on the plane is suspect. And I don't know to this day if that motherfucker... Actually, you know what? They did, because he tried to sue him. And I remember that on the video documentary shit, that they blurred out his face. And he was cut from a lot of that stuff. So I believe he did find out who that individual was. This is hearsay. But, that dude has had his last public piece was supposedly having an indoor comedy session at his house, right? In his living room. And his whole thing was, fuck you, I'm going to say this. And he got a bunch of shit for his comedy in his own house with people that were invited to the situation. And they're like, oh, Kevin, you shouldn't have made that joke. And he did like another video from his bed. I don't know why he does this shit, because he always gets in trouble for it. But he did another video from his bed. And he's like, I don't fucking care what your opinion is. The whole show was, I don't fucking care. And then you're over here being like, you should care. And he's like, well, I don't fucking care. So to go back a second, I think it's very interesting that in the past year to 2 years, we have, in particular, amongst all people, like memes have become so important, right? This 1 second of comedy, right? It's going to be a picture. Maybe it's got a couple words, but you're going to sum up the week for me, right? In this kind of photo. And in the past, I'm just going to be safe and say 2 years. 2020, 2019, and the beginning of 2021 is that we're looking for a comedic source. I need you to take the world, which is so fucking crazy and awful right now, and I need to giggle about it. Right? Where like back in the day, we're like, what does Ginsberg say about America? America, $4.72. Right? It's one of the greatest poems ever written. America. You ever read it?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
Pause. In her back. Yeah. Thanks, Nelly. So, I'll go up to this point. Allen Ginsberg, America. All right. America, I've given you all, and now I'm nothing. America, $2.27, January 17, 1956. I can't stand my own mind. America, when will we end the human war? Go fuck yourself with your atom bomb. I don't feel good. Don't bother me. I won't write my poem till I'm in my right mind. America, when will you be angelic? When will you take your clothes off? When will you look at yourself through the grave? When will you be worthy of a million Tryoskis? America, why are all your liberties full of tears? Sorry, libraries full of tears. America, why are all your libraries full of tears? America, when will you send your eggs to India? I'm sick of your insane demands. When can I go into the supermarket and buy what I need with my own good looks? He was also not a very attractive man, so that was the joke. When he said that live, like people laughed a lot.
Oh, that sucks.
I know. Well, hey, America, after all, it is you and I who are perfect, not the next world. Your machinery is too much for me. You made me want to be a saint. There must be some other way to settle this argument. So, it's if you haven't read it, America by Allen Ginsberg goes on for, oh my God, quite a few pages. It is absolutely amazing. America, I'm putting my queer shoulder to the wheel is how it ends.
Was he queer?
He was queer, yeah. And if he wasn't, he should have been. Howl, one of the greatest openings to a poem ever. It's definitely like, the kind of like the modern wasteland. But oh my God, fantastic. But I think it's an interesting kind of bridge or collaboration you're making of I feel like in the 60s and 70s in particular, we're kind of looking for poetry in a sense, at least in the sense of music as well. That we're not looking for the written word, but we're also looking for the poetic word. And if we can't find that, then we're looking for the rhythmatic word, which is music. How can the Rolling Stones sum this up for me? How can the Beatles conclude this moment? What are these major songs? Jimi Hendrix, let's get experienced. These are major things that people those are the kind of avenues you're looking for. And I think you have a really good point that in the past 2 to 3 years in particular, we've kind of like we've been looking for the comedian. Like, it's so fucking atrocious. It's such a comedy of errors. It's so depressing. It's so painful and debilitating. I need someone to turn this around on its perspective and its logic, and I need a joke. I need a fucking punchline from this. There's no, like, if I just told you the other day, our president, Donald Trump, was removed from Twitter permanently. that explanation,
That
you'd be like,
senator was removed from Olive Garden's.
Sean Hannity was removed from all it. Right, like that's the joke. Like oh my god, the guy who has the nuclear codes isn't allowed to talk on the internet anymore. And then the joke is like, well, Sean Hannity was also kicked out of Olive Garden. These are like two, completely different awful things. So, like, you need that second part. Yeah, so in conclusion, we're almost an hour 30 in. I think we've attempted to make some really good points. Oh my god, she got jumped by a pug. Sorry, there's squeaky toys in the background too. We had an attempt to make some really good points. I think we also made some very good roundabout points. I think we segued into a lot of interesting areas that maybe we should explore. And you're literally going to sleep on the floor right now? All right, this is what you get when you make Rice Krispie treats. And
You're delicious.
what is it? Charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
The shark. It's got shark in it, right? You promised
I don't
me.
know if it's a char
You
or a char.
Is the shark like?
I gotta Google it.
Is it Atlantic? Is it Australian?
I don't know, Mike.
Fuck it. So that's where we're at. We got some other points to make, which is that most Americans don't understand their amendments and their rights, which is true. I believe that's true, but we should touch on that subject for sure. We touched on the FBI, and we also wanted to touch on why there wasn't a greater show of force during the Capitol siege, which I think we brushed. We maybe pointed at. Yeah, we booped it, but nothing else from there. So if you enjoyed this, we enjoyed it. We had fun. We made it through the first week of 2021, which we thought was going to be so much easier. It was not. It turned out to be a battle royale in some sense. But we're going to go play with our dogs, and we're going to eat the rest of our Rice Krispie treats. And if you guys got any comments or questions, put them in the comments and questions section. I'll leave that open. I would like to communicate with a couple of you, at least. Maybe not all of you, but a couple of you for sure. And share this if you like it. Indulge in the conversation. Indulge in our Rice Krispie treats thoughts. Yeah, we're like, we have like a platter of that. And, just have fun. Be safe. We got 10 days left in this presidency or something. And hopefully make it out. I hope, honestly, at some part of me, I hope it's true. I hope like day 9, like QAnon ends up being true. And they're like, oh shit, here's a list of people that have been eating babies. Here's the photos. You've all been waiting. I'm surprised nobody's even photoshopped this shit. Here it is. And we're like, oh, fuck, it's real, But on that note, it's Sunday morning, and we're all in mourning on this Sunday. All right. Do you have anything else to say?
Sunday morning.
Right. Walking through spider webs. All right. You guys have fun. We're going to have fun, and everybody take care. All right.
Peace out.